They say love is patient, love is kind, love is sacrifice. But nobody tells you what happens when love becomes a cage, when the person sleeping next to you feels like a stranger, when every morning you wake up and the first thought isn't gratitude, it's survival. When you look across the breakfast table and realize you're staring at the architect of your own personal prison. And the worst part? You handed them the blueprints. You're stuck, not because you have to be, but because something inside you refuses to leave. And that something, it's not love. It's something far more dangerous. Something most people will never admit to themselves because the truth is too ugly, too raw, too real. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to really sit with this. If you could snap your fingers right now and be free, completely free, no consequences, no judgment, no guilt, would you stay? Would you really stay? Or would you run so fast you'd leave scorch marks on the floor? And see, most people in unhappy marriages tell themselves a story. They say they're staying for the kids, for the family, for the mortgage, for God, for stability. And maybe on the surface that's true, but dig deeper. Peel back the layers of that story and you'll find something else. You'll find fear, you'll find identity crisis, you'll find a version of yourself that's so tangled up in this other person that you don't even know who you are without them anymore. That's the trap, not the marriage itself, but the version of you that the marriage created. You're not staying for them. You're staying because leaving would mean facing the most terrifying question a human being can face. Who am I when I'm alone? And that question, it's a black hole. It swallows everything. Your confidence, your sense of purpose, your understanding of your own value. Because for years, maybe decades, you've defined yourself through this relationship. You're someone's husband, someone's wife, the stable one, the provider, the caretaker, the one who stays. And if you leave, all of that evaporates. You become nobody, just another failure, another divorce statistic, another person who couldn't make it work. So you stay. Day after day, year after year, you build a life on top of a foundation that's rotting from the inside. You smile at dinner parties, you post the anniversary photos, you say the right things, but inside you're screaming, inside you're dying one silent breath at a time. Here's what they won't tell you in therapy. Here's what the self-help books conveniently leave out. Some people need the pain, not because they're masochists, but because the pain is familiar, it's predictable, it's safer than the unknown. You know exactly what kind of misery you're dealing with. You've mapped it out. You've learned how to navigate it. You've built routines around it. The unhappiness has become your comfort zone. And comfort, even when it's wrapped in suffering, is seductive. It whispers to you every time you think about leaving. It says, what if it's worse out there? What if you're alone forever? What if you're making the biggest mistake of your life? What if this is as good as it gets? That voice? It's not wisdom. It's cowardice dressed up as caution. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about what really keeps people locked in these dead marriages. It's not just fear of being alone. It's not just the financial entanglement or the kids or the shared history. It's something more primal. It's the sunk cost fallacy on steroids. You've invested so much, so many years, so much energy, so many compromises. You've sacrificed your dreams, your friendships, pieces of your soul. And the idea that all of that was for nothing, that's unbearable. So you keep investing. You keep pouring into this failing venture because admitting it's over would mean admitting you wasted the best years of your life on something that was never going to work. That's the psychology of the gambler at the slot machine at 3 in the morning. They're not there because they think they're going to win. They're there because they've already lost so much that walking away feels like defeat. So they keep feeding the machine. One more pull, one more chance, One more year, one more anniversary, one more attempt at couples therapy, one more promise that things will get better. But they won't, and somewhere deep down, you know that. Here's the thing about unhappy marriages. They don't just happen. They're built, brick by brick, compromise by compromise, silence by silence. Every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, you lay another brick. Every time you pretend everything's fine when it's not, another brick. Every time you accept disrespect or neglect or emotional abandonment because it's easier than confronting it, another brick. And before you know it, you've built a prison, and you're both the inmate and the guard. But let's talk about the real mind game here, the one that keeps the strongest people trapped. It's the identity you've constructed around being the person who stays, the loyal one, the committed one, the one who doesn't give up. There's a twisted pride in that, isn't there? A moral superiority. You're not like those other people who bail at the first sign of trouble. You're stronger. You're more dedicated. You honor your vows, except you're confusing endurance with strength. And there's a massive difference. Endurance is staying in the fire because you think you're supposed to. Strength is recognizing the fire is killing you and having the courage to walk out. But society has sold you a lie. They've convinced you that leaving is weakness, that divorce is failure, that choosing yourself is selfish. So you wear your misery like a badge of honor. You tell yourself you're doing the noble thing, the selfless thing. You're protecting your family. You're maintaining stability. You're being the adult. But what you're really doing is modeling dysfunction. You're teaching your kids that love looks like quiet resentment, that marriage means tolerating someone you can barely stand, that happiness is a luxury you sacrifice for obligation. You think you're protecting them by staying together, but you're actually giving them a blueprint for their own future suffering. And here's the cruelest part, the part nobody wants to acknowledge. Your partner might be just as miserable. They might be playing the same game you are, staying out of fear, out of guilt, out of societal pressure. You're both trapped in this performance, waiting for the other person to be the bad guy and leave first so you don't have to carry the blame. Two people, both unhappy, both pretending, both secretly hoping the other one will end it. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation where both people are holding the gun. You want to know what's really happening in your brain when you stay in an unhappy marriage? Let's get scientific for a second. Your brain is running a constant cost-benefit analysis, and it's concluding over and over that the pain of staying is less than the perceived pain of leaving. That's it. That's the whole equation. You're not staying because you're weak or damaged or broken. You're staying because your brain has calculated that this is the path of least resistance. But here's what your brain doesn't account for: the slow death, the erosion of your spirit, the way you're becoming a ghost in your own life, the way you've stopped dreaming, the way you've accepted this gray existence as normal. Your brain is optimizing for short-term survival, not long-term thriving, and that's the trap. You think you're protecting yourself by staying, but you're actually in the process of losing yourself, cell by cell, memory by memory, dream by dream. There's a version of you that existed before this marriage became a graveyard, and that person is buried somewhere deep inside, suffocating under layers of resentment and routine and resignation. And the really twisted part, you've gotten so good at burying that person that you've forgotten they ever existed. You've rewritten your own history. You tell yourself you were always like this, always quiet, always settled, always content with less. But that's a lie you've repeated so many times it's become your truth. Let me tell you what's really happening here. You're not in an unhappy marriage, you're in an addiction. And your drug of choice is familiarity, the known pain, the predictable disappointment. You're hooked on the routine of your own suffering because at least you know how it works. At least you know what tomorrow looks like. And that predictability, no matter how soul-crushing, feels safer than the chaos of change. Think about it. Every addict has a moment when they look at their life and see the destruction. They see what the addiction is costing them, their health, their relationships, their potential, and they swear they're going to quit. They make plans, they set dates, they tell themselves this time it's different. But when the moment comes, when they're actually standing at the edge of that decision, something pulls them back. The fear is too loud. The withdrawal is too painful. So they take another hit. They stay for one more day, one more month, one more year. That's you. That's what you're doing right now. And here's where it gets even darker. You're not just afraid of being alone. You're afraid of being free, because freedom comes with responsibility. If you're free, you can't blame your unhappiness on your marriage anymore. You can't point to your spouse as the reason your life didn't turn out the way you wanted. You actually have to take ownership of your choices, your failures, your wasted time. You have to look in the mirror and ask yourself the most damning question of all. What if I'm the problem? See, staying in the marriage lets you off the hook. It gives you something to blame, someone to resent, a reason for why you're not living the life you imagined. But leaving strips all that away. Leaving forces you to confront the possibility that maybe you're the architect of your own misery. Maybe you chose this. Maybe you allowed this. Maybe you're exactly where you deserve to be. That thought is unbearable. So you stay. Now let's talk about the people around you, your friends, your family, society. They're not helping, they're enablers. They feed you the same tired lines. Marriage is hard work. Every relationship has rough patches. You can't just give up when things get difficult. And you nod along because it makes you feel better about your choice to stay. It validates your suffering. It frames your prison as virtue. But here's what they're not telling you. They need you to stay. Not because they care about your happiness, but because your staying validates their own choices. If you leave, if you actually have the courage to walk away from something that's killing you, it forces them to question their own situations. It holds up a mirror they don't want to look into, so they guilt you, they shame you, they weaponize your sense of duty and morality and commitment to keep you exactly where you are. Because misery loves company, but misery really loves when that company pretends to be content. And let's address the elephant in the room. The sex, or the lack of it. In most unhappy marriages, the bedroom becomes a battleground or a wasteland. Either you're using sex as currency, as manipulation, as a weapon, or it's just completely dead. And when that physical connection dies, something primal in you dies with it. You become roommates, co-parents, business partners managing the logistics of life. But lovers, that's a distant memory. And you tell yourself it doesn't matter, that there's more to a relationship than sex, that you're mature enough to live without that connection. But late at night, when you can't sleep, when you're lying next to someone who feels like a stranger, you feel it. That hunger, that loneliness, that desperate need to be wanted, to be desired, to feel alive in your own skin. So what do? Some people cheat, not because they're bad people, but because they're dying people looking for proof they still exist. Some people pour themselves into work, into hobbies, into anything that distracts them from the emptiness at home. Some people just numb out completely. Alcohol, prescription pills, social media, anything to not feel what they're feeling. But none of it works, because you can't run from something you bring with you everywhere you go. You can't escape a prison you're carrying in your own mind. Here's the real psychology at play. You've created an identity around being stuck. You've built a narrative where you're the victim of circumstance, the martyr who sacrifices for others, the tragic hero who endures. And that narrative gives your suffering meaning. It makes the pain feel purposeful, noble even. But strip away the story and what are you left with? A person who's too afraid to choose themselves. A person who's confused stability with safety, routine with contentment, endurance with strength. A person who's slowly disappearing and calling it love. And the cruelest irony? The thing you're most afraid of, being alone, is already your reality. You're alone right now. You're alone in a crowded house. You're alone in a bed you share. You're alone in conversations that don't matter with someone who stopped really seeing you years ago. The loneliness you're avoiding by staying is the loneliness you're already living. So what's keeping you there? Really? Strip away all the excuses, all the justifications, all the fear dressed up as reason. What's the real answer? I'll tell you what it is. It's easier. It's easier to stay than to blow up your life. It's easier to tolerate misery than to face uncertainty. It's easier to keep pretending than to admit you were wrong, that you made a mistake, that you wasted years on something that was never going to work. But easy is not the same as right, and comfort is not the same as happiness. You know what the real tragedy is? It's not that you're in an unhappy marriage. Plenty of marriages are unhappy. The tragedy is that you're aware of it. You see it clearly. You feel it every single day, and you're choosing it anyway. You're a prisoner who's been handed the key, and you're just staring at it, too paralyzed to use it. That's not love. That's not commitment. That's not strength. That's surrender. That's giving up on yourself before your life is even over. That's choosing a slow death because you're too afraid of what living might cost you. And here's what nobody wants to admit. You've become an expert at justifying your own imprisonment. You've got a whole arsenal of reasons why leaving is impossible. The kids need stability. You can't afford 2 households. You made a vow before God. Your family would never understand. You're too old to start over. The dating world is a nightmare. You don't want to be alone for the holidays. You don't want to split custody. You don't want to hurt them. But let's be brutally honest. These aren't reasons. These are shields. They're protective walls you've built around the real truth, which is this. You're terrified of the unknown. You're terrified that the grass isn't greener, that you'll leave and realize you made a catastrophic mistake, that you'll end up old and alone with nothing but regrets and cats. So you make your cage comfortable. You redecorate your prison. You convince yourself that this is just what adult life looks like, that everyone else is just pretending to be happy, that your friends with their seemingly good marriages are just better actors than you. You normalize your misery until it becomes your identity. But here's the thing about normalization. It's a coping mechanism, not a solution. You're not adapting to a difficult situation. You're slowly dying and calling it maturity. Let me tell you what happens to people who stay in unhappy marriages for decades. They don't suddenly wake up one day grateful they stuck it out. They don't reach some enlightened state where the suffering was worth it. They become bitter. They become resentful. They become hollow. They look at their life and see a museum of compromises, a collection of moments when they chose safety over truth, comfort over authenticity, fear over freedom. And then they die. And their eulogy is a lie. People stand up and talk about their devotion, their commitment, their strong marriage. But the truth dies with them. The truth is, they spent their one life, their one shot at existence in a situation that suffocated them. And for what? For appearances? For other people's comfort? For some outdated idea of what success looks like? That's not noble. That's tragic. Now let's talk about the shift, because understanding the psychology is one thing, using it as fuel is another, and that's what separates the people who stay stuck from the people who break free. First, you need to stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending this is temporary. Stop telling yourself things will get better when the kids are older, when the job stabilizes, when you finally have that conversation you've been avoiding for years. Things don't get better by themselves. Wounds don't heal when you keep reopening them. Dead things don't come back to life just because you keep pretending they're sleeping. Your marriage is what it is, and it's been what it is for a long time. The question isn't whether it will change. The question is whether you will. Second, you need to recognize that staying is a choice, not a circumstance, not an obligation, a choice. You are choosing this every single day. And once you accept that, once you take full ownership of the fact that you are actively selecting this suffering, something shifts. Because if you're choosing it, you can also choose something else. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think the choice is binary, stay or leave, misery or freedom, prison or paradise. But that's not how it works. The real choice is between continuing to be a passive participant in your own life or becoming an active architect of it. Maybe you stay, but you stop being a victim. You stop resenting. You stop waiting for them to change. You take full responsibility for your happiness within the situation, and you build a life that fulfills you despite the relationship, not because of it. You create boundaries. You pursue your interests. You develop yourself. You stop making them the center of your universe, and you start making yourself the center. Or maybe you leave, but you do it consciously, deliberately, not as an escape, but as a choice. You don't run from the marriage. You walk toward yourself. You don't leave because you hate them. You leave because you love yourself more. Both paths require the same thing. The death of who you've been, the person who tolerates, the person who settles, the person who prioritizes everyone else's comfort over their own truth. That person has to die. Not metaphorically, actually die. You have to kill that version of yourself and be willing to sit in the discomfort of not knowing who you'll become next. And that's the real test, not whether you stay or leave, but whether you have the courage to stop being who you've been and become who you actually are. Here's what using this darkness as fuel looks like. You take every moment of resentment, every sleepless night, every fake smile at a family gathering, every time you felt invisible in your own home, and you let it build, not into bitterness, into power, into clarity, into unstoppable momentum. You look at your situation, and instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me? What is this showing you about yourself, about your patterns, about your fears, about your willingness to abandon yourself for the comfort of others?" Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your unhappy marriage isn't your problem. It's your symptom. The real problem is deeper. It's your relationship with yourself. It's your inability to choose yourself. It's your addiction to being needed, to being the stable one, to being the person who sacrifices. It's your fear that without this role, this identity, you're nothing. And until you face that, until you do the real work of figuring out why you've allowed this, no amount of marriage counseling or communication exercises or date nights will fix anything. You'll just be rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. So here's your execution plan. Here's how you actually use this darkness. Step 1, get brutally honest with yourself. Write it down. Every reason you're unhappy, every way the relationship has failed you, every moment you felt unseen, unheard, unloved. Don't filter it. Don't soften it. Don't worry about being fair or balanced. This isn't for them. This is for you. This is your reckoning with reality. Step 2, stop waiting for permission. You don't need their approval to be happy. You don't need your family's blessing to choose yourself. You don't need society's validation to walk away from something that's killing you. The only permission you need is your own, and you've been withholding it from yourself for years. Step 3. Build your escape route. Even if you're not ready to leave, build the infrastructure. Get your own bank account. Develop your career. Strengthen your friendships. Create a life outside the marriage that's so fulfilling, so vibrant, so authentically yours that the marriage becomes optional, not mandatory. Because the moment you have options, everything changes. You stop operating from fear and start operating from choice. Step 4. Set a deadline. Not with them, with yourself. Give yourself a time frame. 6 months, a year, whatever feels right. But make it real, make it concrete. And in that time, you go all in on fixing what can be fixed. You have the hard conversations, you try therapy, you do the work, but you also prepare for the possibility that nothing will change. And when that deadline hits, you make a decision, a real one, not another delay, not another extension, a decision. Step 5. Accept that there are no good options, only trade-offs. Staying has a cost. Leaving has a cost. The question isn't which path is painless. The question is which pain you'd rather live with. The pain of staying in something that's slowly killing you, or the pain of uncertainty and rebuilding. Both are hard. Both are scary. But only one of them has the possibility of leading somewhere better. Here's what most people don't understand about breaking free. It's not one big dramatic moment. It's not walking out in the middle of a fight or having some explosive revelation. It's 1,000 tiny choices. It's choosing yourself when it's uncomfortable. It's speaking your truth when it would be easier to stay silent. It's setting a boundary and actually enforcing it. It's saying no when you've always said yes. It's reclaiming pieces of yourself you gave away years ago. And yes, it's messy. Yes, people will judge you. Yes, your family might not understand. Yes, your kids might struggle. Yes, you might have regrets. But you know what's messier? Living the next 20 years in quiet desperation, watching your life pass by from behind glass, becoming a ghost in your own story. The people who break free aren't special. They're not braver or stronger or more deserving than you. They just reached a point where the pain of staying became greater than the fear of leaving. That's it. That's the only difference. They hit their threshold and they moved. Your threshold is coming. You can feel it. Every time you fake another smile. Every time you sleep on opposite sides of the bed. Every time you realize another year has passed and nothing has changed, the pressure is building. The question is whether you'll act before it explodes or after. Join the few who understand that staying in a situation that destroys you isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. Join the ones who know that the scariest prisons are the ones we build ourselves. Join those who realize that sometimes love isn't enough, and that's not failure, that's truth. You don't need another reason to stay. You've got plenty of those. What you need is one good reason to choose yourself, just one. And once you find it, once you really feel it, everything else becomes noise. The unhappy marriage isn't your ending, it's your crossroads. And the version of you that's reading this right now, the one who knows something has to change, that person is already walking toward the exit. The question is whether you'll follow them or drag them back into the dark. Choose wisely, because time doesn't wait, and neither does your one life.